HOA hated my custom Jeep with turret mount, so I drove it in their parade with flags waving. Have you ever felt like your freedom to express yourself was under attack, all because someone decided your style didn't fit their mold? In the manicured lawns and cookie-cutter homes of Willow Creek, a suburban enclave where conformity reigned supreme, Jake Miller found himself at war. His crime? A custom Jeep Wrangler decked out with a turret mount, rugged tires, and a bold American flag that fluttered like a declaration of independence. The HOA, led by the iron-fisted Karen Whitaker, saw it as an eyesore, a rebellion against their pristine aesthetic. What followed was a clash of wills, a battle of pride, and a spectacle that would leave the neighborhood talking for years. Jake wasn't your average suburbanite. A retired Army mechanic, he'd spent years tinkering with vehicles in dusty desert bases, turning stock machines into beasts that could conquer any terrain. When he moved to Willow Creek, he brought his pride and joy, a 2019 Jeep Wrangler JL modified with a custom turret mount inspired by military surplus designs, 35-inch Nitto mud grapplers, and a flagpole holder that proudly flew Old Glory. To Jake, it wasn't just a vehicle, it was a symbol of his service, his grit, and his love for the open road. But to Karen and her HOA board, it was a monstrosity that violated their sacred covenants. They sent him letters, slapped fines on his doorstep, and even called a special meeting to demand he tone it down. Their rules cited aesthetic harmony and banned vehicles deemed unsightly from being parked in driveways. Jake's Jeep, with its matte black finish and towering flag, was public enemy number one. The first letter arrived on a crisp fall morning, printed on crisp HOA letterhead with Karen's signature scrawled in aggressive red ink. Your vehicle is in violation of Section 4.2, subsection B. No modifications that detract from neighborhood uniformity. Jake chuckled, tossing the letter aside. He'd faced worse than bureaucratic busybodies, sandstorms, insurgents, and supply chain nightmares. But the letters kept coming, each more threatening than the last. Fines piled up, $50, then $100, then a warning of legal action. At the HOA meeting, Karen stood at the podium, her pearl necklace gleaming, and declared, "This is about maintaining property values, not personal vendettas." The room nodded in agreement except for Jake, who sat in the back, arms crossed, his jaw tight. He knew this wasn't about property values, it was about control. What Karen didn't know was that Jake had a secret weapon. His neighbor, Mrs. Claringwin, a retired librarian with a knack for digging up dirt. Clara, who'd lived in Willow Creek for 30 years, had seen HOAs come and go. She despised Karen's reign, having once been fined for planting unauthorized roses. Over coffee one evening, Clara slid a folder across Jake's kitchen table. "You didn't hear this from me?" she whispered, her eyes twinkling. Inside were HOA records, obtained through a public records request, showing Karen had approved her own husband's oversized RV in their driveway, citing a temporary exemption. The hypocrisy was staggering. Jake's blood boiled, but he didn't lash out. Instead, he hatched a plan, one that would turn Karen's precious rules against her. The Willow Creek Annual Parade was the neighborhood's crown jewel, a meticulously planned event where residents showcased their polished sedans and golf carts draped in tasteful bunting approved by the HOA. Jake saw his chance. The parade rules stated that any resident could participate provided their vehicle was street legal and festive. Jake's Jeep was street legal, and with a few tweaks, it could be festive as hell. He spent nights in his garage, mounting a second flagpole for a Gadsden flag, its coiled rattlesnake screaming, "Don't tread on me." He polished the turret mount, a non-functional replica from H&H Tool Shop, and added LED lights to make it gleam. Clara, now his unofficial co-conspirator, suggested he blast patriotic music from a new Alpine stereo system. "Give them a show they can't ignore," she said with a grin. The morning of the parade, Willow Creek buzzed with anticipation. Families lined the streets, kids waving tiny flags, and Karen stood at the starting line, clipboard in hand, inspecting each vehicle. When Jake's Jeep rolled up, the crowd fell silent. The turret mount towered over the sedans, the American flag snapping in the breeze, the Gadsden flag bold beside it. The LEDs flashed red, white, and blue, and Sweet Home Alabama blared from the speakers. Karen's face turned the color of her prized azaleas. "This is unacceptable," she shrieked, storming toward Jake. "You're making a mockery of our community." Jake leaned out his window, calm as a desert sunrise. "Check your rules, Karen. My Jeep's street legal, and these flags are festive. I'm in compliance." The crowd murmured, some smirking, others whispering. Karen flipped through her clipboard, her hands shaking, but she found nothing to disqualify him. As the parade began, Jake's Jeep led the pack, its tires rumbling like a war drum. The crowd's reaction was mixed. Some cheered, others gawked, but the kids loved it, pointing at the turret and waving their flags. Then came the twist. Halfway through the route, a group of local veterans, tipped off by Clara, joined the parade on foot, marching behind Jake's Jeep. They carried their own flags, POW/MIA, Marine Corps, arm, forming an impromptu honor guard. The sight was electric, a living testament to sacrifice and freedom. Karen, watching from the sidelines, was apoplectic. She tried to stop the parade, claiming Jake was disrupting the event, but the veterans' presence silenced her. One grizzled Marine, a Vietnam vet named Tom, stepped forward. "Lady, this man's honoring our country. You got a problem with that?" The crowd erupted in applause, and Karen's authority crumbled like a stale cookie. By the time the parade ended, Jake's Jeep had stolen the show. Residents snapped photos, kids begged to climb aboard, and the veterans shook Jake's hand, thanking him for the tribute. Karen, humiliated, retreated to her SUV, but the damage was done. At the next HOA meeting, Clara took the floor, presenting the RV exemption records to a stunned audience. If Karen can bend the rules for her husband, why can't Jake park his Jeep? She asked. The room buzzed with agreement. Karen stammered, her excuses falling flat. Within weeks, the board voted to relax the vehicle modification rules, citing community feedback. Karen resigned as president, her reign of terror over. Rumor had it she put her house up for sale, unable to face the neighbors she'd alienated. Jake's Jeep still sits in his driveway, flags waving proudly. He didn't just win a battle. He sparked a shift in Willow Creek. Neighbors started painting their mailboxes, planting wildflowers, and even flying their own state flags, sports banners, holiday pennants. The neighborhood felt alive, less like a museum and more like a community. Jake and Clara became local legends. Their coffee chats now a weekly ritual where they plot new ways to keep the HOA in check. Jake's victory wasn't just about a Jeep. It was about standing up to petty tyranny and reminding everyone that freedom, like a flag, should fly high and untamed. What do you think? Did Jake go too far, or was his parade stunt the perfect way to fight back? Share your thoughts on where you stand in this clash of individuality versus conformity.